It's time! It's time! It is time for another rant video. For those of you who have not watched one of these before, if you have delicate ears, if harsh language causes you to have fits, and you have to run to a safe space so that you can use a coloring book and crayons to settle down as you suck on your one thumb while the other one shoved up your ass and you're clutching your favorite teddy bear, get the fuck off of this channel right now, because in rant videos there is always copious amounts of swearing, and this one definitely fucking calls for it, because I won't just be swearing at the fucking people involved in this article. I will be swearing at the units actually involved in this fucking article. So, if you are a leftist piece of shit, your feelings get hurt easily, leave the fuck now and don't come back. Now then, the article, at least the front page of it that you see in front of you, I'm not going to print out the whole thing because it's literally 31 fucking pages long. It's titled The Militia and the Mole by Joseph Kaplan at ProPublica.org. Now, before we get too much into what was in the article, I want to say that ProPublica, when I went to their main page, is a very left-leaning, quote-unquote, news organization. And they are nonprofit, and they deal with corruption and government overreach, and that's what they say. But when you actually look at the articles on their website, about 75% of what's posted there is about how dangerous militias are, that we're all a bunch of white supremacist neo-Nazi supporters, and that, well, Trump, when he gets into office, he's going to take over and become a dictator, and he's going to kick out anyone who isn't as white as he is, or as orange as he is, and because he's such a big, admirer of Hitler and the Ku Klux Klan. So, that's the leaning of this website. Now, what is this article about? I first want to point out that this article was posted in my chat room over on Telegram by one of my subscribers. He had come across this article, which apparently was posted yesterday on January 4th at 5 a.m. Eastern Time. He came across this article, wanted us to look it over, see what we thought on this situation. Well, the article is about someone who's changed their name legally to John Williams now. This person is a gay leftist activist, and they made that very clear at the very start of the article. This is a gay man who's a leftist activist, and he was really, really afraid after January 6th about what the violent militias did with their insurrection in Washington, D.C. And he was really afraid about, what was going to happen after that, that the militias were going to be rising up. We were going to be slaughtering gay people. We were going to be kicking out the non-whites and all that. So this gay guy, he decided to take it upon himself and infiltrate the militia movement in Utah. Now, how this came about, according to the article, this gay guy, well, he came from a broken home. They do make a big thing about that at the beginning of the article. He grew up at a broken home, was constantly getting in trouble, and he did prison time, and I think it was for making terroristic threats. Well, after he got out of the pokey, which apparently he must have really loved, you know, getting poked all the time, just like my gay stalker. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. Yes, you silly. Well, this gay guy, he decided to basically go off grid. You know, he moved into Utah, you know, to get away from the government, even though, you know, like 80 to 90% of the state is controlled by the federal government, whatever. And while he's in Utah, he decided to set up a survival school, because while he was in prison, he read a lot of books about survival. So he figured he could be easily a survival instructor, brother, and he was going to teach people how to make it out in the woods to get away from the man. Well, the Utah American Patriot 3% unit in Utah, they contacted this guy to see if he could do an escape and evasion course for some of their members. Now, Mr. Gay Guy, because he's such the expert because he read a lot of books in prison when he wasn't getting rammed in the ass. He was reading on how to drink his own piss and how to eat rats raw, brother. Well, this guy figured, well, this is a bunch of, you know, chairborne ranger, you know, militiamen, you know, who are a bunch of fat, overweight. They don't have any experience. You know, he'll just start off with doing some basic survival stuff. Okay, fine. And while he's getting into the class, he found out they know more than he thought they did. They actually did know a bit about survival. So then he started changing the criteria to how to do things more concealed, how to make cook fires concealed and eliminate all evidence of them being used, how to pick areas to sleep in that will conceal you from possible observation, like by drones. And he got so upset by the talk on the militiamen. You know, it was just so upsetting to him because, you know, they weren't all inclusive and they weren't left leaning. You know, that was such a bad thing. They were not left leaning at all. I mean, gosh. And then one of them talked about, you know, he got screwed over because he bought a Ruger Mini 14 and he used a racial slur to describe how he got screwed over on the price. And quite frankly, the racial slur that was used, I've literally heard Jewish ancestry people that I know from the militia use that exact same term. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the guy said that he got Jewed on the purchase of a rifle and paid way too much for it. And you know what? I've literally heard Jewish members or Jewish religion people in the militia use the exact same fucking term to describe how they got screwed over by someone on purchasing equipment, especially firearms. So, you know, if the shoe fits, it's all I'm going to say, okay? And I'm not going to go into an anti-Jewish rant. I don't believe in that crap. But, you know, there is a few things in the stereotype that are kind of true. And I'll just leave it at that. Well, I should point out that my grandfather, when he was in the Army, his battle buddy was Jewish from Chicago, who was a furniture salesman. And he taught my grandfather how when they sold furniture, they would do bait and switch, and they would also jack up the price if the person buying it wasn't Jewish. So, you know, there's a few things on the stereotype that are true when it comes to money, and I'm not going to go further than that. So quite frankly, when this person pointed this out in the article and how, oh my God, this is so much pointing out that they're all just Nazi supporters because he's used this racist term. I've literally heard Jews use the exact same term. Whatever. Well, after that time with teaching, the commander of the Utah AP 3% and some of his select people, he actually found that they were more knowledgeable than he thought, and they were very safe with their firearms. They weren't, flashing each other with it, flagging them and anything like that. Well, after this was apparently in 2019, they had the election of 2020, which gay guy was all happy that Biden won. Yay, we're finally taking back the country. We're going to make it safe for all the gay people. And then January 6th happened. Well, gay survivalist instructor gets all upset, and he takes it on himself that he needs to expose the militia. Well, he has contacts with the Utah AP 3%, so he gives them a contact, and he decides, he wants to become a more active member. He attended a few of their meetings, which really weren't that bad, but, the fact that he was surrounded by a bunch of white supremacists, was really upsetting to him. Even though, he admits in the article they were very inclusive, anyone could join the unit, and they were very tolerant of other people's beliefs. But he still had it in his head that all militiamen are white supremacist neo-Nazis. So he infiltrates the militia. And the name he was using at that time was not John Williams. He says that. It sounds like the name he was using at that time was Dave. I don't know the last name. He starts going to AP 3% meetings in Utah. And he starts creating intelligence files on the members of the militia, who they are, where they're from, the weapons that they have, all the information he can get. He starts writing in files or, typing on his computer and that stuff. Creating this intel that he wants to literally pass off to the federal government. Well, over time, he decides he needs more information about people involved in the organization because there has to be members in the state that he hasn't met. So he weasels his way into the leadership in Utah. He's been involved with them for a while. They know he's a survival instructor. He's kept quiet about being gay. He's kept quiet about his leftist leanings. And they let him in. And they let him into the leadership. Now, that is a huge motherfucking strike against the idiots in Utah, AP 3%. If you fucking morons had done a goddamn background check, you would have come across his criminal background, which would have said he served time in prison for making terroristic threats. Maybe, if you did your motherfucking jobs, this piece of shit would not have made it into your organization. Background checks are done for a fucking reason. There are reasons why I say felons should not be in the militia at this time. Use your fucking brain. Well, David, as he was known at the time, he ends up weaseling his way by discrediting others in the AP 3% Utah. He weasels his way into chief intelligence operator for the fucking state. He's the one who's now in charge of doing backgrounds. He's also the one who's in charge of trying to prevent infiltrators. You jackasses didn't do your fucking job, and you allowed the person you're trying to keep out to take over the very part of your fucking organization that's supposed to prevent that. Well, David As part of his stuff with 3%, he also gets involved with the Oath Keepers, cross-organizational thing in the state of Utah. And because he's the intelligence officer, they welcome him over. They don't do background checks, don't check into him. You know, they accept this convicted fucking criminal into their organization to the highest fucking levels. And when he's doing this crossover with fuckers, when he's doing a crossover with them, he gains more intel on every piece of information for the leadership of Oath Keepers. And he adds that to his intelligence file also so that he can blackmail people. And yes, he did that. He was blackmailing people too. Gets the information so he can blackmail people and also pass it off to the Department of Justice. And, you know, the reporter of the article talks about how Oath Keepers is this dangerous militia, the most dangerous in the United States. And fuck's sakes, Oath Keepers is not a fucking militia, for Christ's sakes. I have said this multiple times over the years. It is a organization of former military, current military, former law enforcement, and current law enforcement who are bound by their oath to the Constitution. That's what's supposed to get you membership. But as an organization, it's been infiltrated for a really long time. And he attends a meeting, high-level meeting, with Oath Keepers as a representative from Utah AP 3%. And he thought for sure they were going to be doing planning on terroristic organizations. And he was shocked when actually they were talking about how to improve their image because of Stuart Rhodes being sent to prison as an insurrectionist or January 6 charges, what the fuck ever. I don't fucking care. So he gets all dismayed on how they're talking about that, how to improve their image, how to do recruiting, you know, talking about making sure that their members, you know, are still willing to uphold the Constitution, and maybe, you know, recommend that depending on how things could going, maybe they should work on some of their survival skills and stuff and relearn some of their basic tasks from training in either law enforcement academy or basic training or boot camp in the military. But he had an infiltration into Oath Keepers, and he was gaining as much info on all the people there, the names, the occupations, where they live for the leadership of Oath Keepers. He goes back to Utah after this meeting. Well, he's not really getting the information that he thought he was going to be getting. You know, he wasn't hearing about there's terroristic plots going on, you know, but he's the intel officer. He surely should know. So he figures, well, I should become the leader of the Utah AP 3%. And then I'll get to know all the secret information. Then I'll know about the planned terrorist attacks and assassinations and, you know, the whole racial attacks that he's certain, you know, the AP 3% just have to for sure be doing. I mean, they're all a bunch of white supremacist neo-Nazis, don't you know that? I mean, even the black ones and the brown ones and, you know, the Asian ones, I mean, they all have to be white supremacist neo-Nazis. So he launches a campaign while talking to the head of American Patriot 3% organization, their overall leader in the United States. He's talking to him while at the same time he is discrediting the leader of Utah. False allegations, all of it, you name it, he was doing it to get him removed. And because he was talking to the leader of the organization, the AP 3%, he gets appointed as the state commander for the AP 3%. So those of you in Utah, you should know by now who the fuck I'm talking about. You should have a really good idea who this piece of shit is. Now, while he's in AP 3%, he's the leader, you have the George Floyd riots and stuff starting across the country and other racial riots. And he decides he wants to prevent any type of, militia extremism at any of those events. So he starts putting out word about the cops are watching us, don't go in, get involved, don't hurt anyone, otherwise they're going to arrest everyone. And his sole purpose for doing that was not to keep people from getting in trouble. He was trying to protect Antifa and BLM as they rioted. He states that in the article. The reporter puts that in the article. That was the reason he did it. It wasn't to keep people from breaking the law. It wasn't to prevent hotheads from doing something stupid. It was to protect Antifa and BLM. Now, after a while, he's involved with the upper level national communications now for the entire American Patriot 3% organization, from sea to shining fucking sea, all 50 fucking states. He has access to all of it because he's the commander of Utah and he has a really close relationship with the leader. So, what do we have once again? We have another fucking failure! Intel people at the national level of American Patriot 3% not doing their fucking job and background checking people. You allowed an infiltrator to take over a state. You allowed him into the inner core of your organization. For fuck's sakes! Well, while he's in the inner circle of this militia, he is gathering more and more intel. He also enlists someone that he came across supposedly in Oath Keepers, which I really question if this kid really was in Oath Keepers, like a 19 or 20-year-old kid who also has a criminal background, uses this kid to break into the computers and secure communications for AP 3%. And he gets all the information he can on every member across the country. Part of the communications he hears, a member in Virginia says during one of their high-level meetings, they're upset because a local know-nothing small-town reporter did an article on how they believe MAGA are extremists, and they had the audacity to post that they don't believe the election was stolen in 2020. And the Virginia commander is pissed off. And he asks, or she asks, and it's kind of unclear which, they say he and she back and forth describing this person. So I don't know, are they non-binary, or are they fucking tranny? I ain't got a fucking clue. But the Virginia commander asked the national commander, what's your recommendations on this? And this David posts in the article that supposedly the Virginia commander leaves dead animals in this reporter's yard as a message. Now, I don't know how many dead animals. Are we talking like a daily thing? Or is this just a thing of, oh, I found a dead bird in my yard and I tossed it in their yard? You know, if that's a situation, because supposedly they were fucking neighbors. But they really play it up in the article that the Virginia AP 3% commander at that time in 2023 is basically wanting to hurt the reporter, even though they don't say in the article that he or she or it had any plans of hurting the reporter. Well, the Utah AP3 3% gay guy, their commanding officer, he gets so flustered. He contacts the reporter, gives them the copies of the secure communications from the national level of AP 3%, and warns the reporter that they're worried for the reporter's life. And then also contacts the FBI about it. And then immediately after this, the commanding officer of Utah AP 3%, who's a fucking mole from the start, goes on the run. Talks about they had a backpack packed for 2 years because they fully expected, that militiamen were going to knock on the door once they found out he was gay, and they were going to kill him. They were going to drag him behind the pickup truck down the dirt road, whatever. So he grabs his backpack, grabs, whatever he can, disappears into the desert for weeks, fully expecting that the AP 3% Utah militia is going to send out hit teams to track him down in the middle of the desert to kill him. And then he takes a flash drive with some of the information that he has on Oath Keepers and the entire AP 3% of the United States, sends it to a reporter at ProPublica.org, and my guess is probably other reporters. Not just this one. And then they somehow, set up a little communication schedule, all James Bond-like and shit, and they meet at this no-tell motel, and, after the gay guy finally, sucks off the reporter because he hasn't had a load of cum down his throat for months or whatever, because he just can't resist. He swallows the load and then he starts unloading on the reporter everything that, about his mission, on how he did it on his own. He was infiltrating the militia and all that because he wants the federal government to crack down on the militia, round every militiaman up, put us in fucking prison, teach us a lesson for our evil right-wing ways. The reporter takes some of the information, does a hit piece on AP 3%. And then while he does that, he also takes other information and does this fucking article, bragging about how this gay guy, and trust me, they make a huge fucking thing through the whole article, that he's a fucking rump ranger. Through the entire fucking thing. Oh yeah, that fizzed up. Make a huge fucking thing all through the article about him being gay and how he infiltrated to the highest levels of AP 3%. He was showing all those cisgendered men and women just what a gay guy can do. Fuck's sakes. The article ends with this person who is now known as John Williams in the article. I doubt that's his real name. I'm sure he's changed it to something else because he's trying to be all James Bond and shit. John Williams says that he wants the 3%, AP 3%, to know they were infiltrated by a gay guy. And a gay man is going to bring the entire militia unit down. And he's sending information to the Department of Justice. He's sending information to Congress. He's sending information to the White House, baby, because we need to make militias illegal. Because they're just all white supremacists. Even the black guys, even the Hispanic guys, hello, and the Asians. You know, they're all just white supremacists. Fuck's sakes. One thing I find funny at the end of the article, this John Williams is furious with the militia because he says the militia is all inclusive and they didn't have a problem with race. They didn't have a problem with creed. And he thinks that's bad. For fuck's sakes, this piece of shit infiltrated the militia to prove they're all a bunch of racists, to prove that all of us are white supremacists, and that we're planning a massive series of terrorist attacks across the country. And what he finds out in his time in the militia is that's not the fucking case. And that makes him upset. And they actually mention that at the end of the motherfucking article. That he's all dismayed on how the militia is not what he expected. And that the government needs to do something to break them up, to cause division. And he hopes that his coming out to this reporter after swallowing his load will finally accomplish that. Holy fucking shit. And this guy posted that the person who took over Utah posted on Signal because for some fucking reason they didn't ban this guy from Signal, for Christ's sakes. Holy fucking hell. Can you guys drop intel any fucking worse? Jesus H fucking Christ. You guys are this fucking bad, maybe you don't deserve to be an organization. Fucking hell. But the commander who takes over in Utah posts on there, don't trust anyone. Do shit that's legal. And the gay guy is happy because he said one of his main goals that he had from the start was to cause division in the militia movement and to cause paranoia. For fuck's sakes. So what's our lessons learned from this situation? Number one would be background fucking checks. If someone is a convicted felon, if they have a violent crime, they are a sex offender, they have crimes of violence on their background check, don't let them into your organization! And some of you assholes fucking laugh at me that I say that. You still say, We should let felons into the militia. We should let people that have gone to prison into the militia. Maybe this shows you now why I say you shouldn't fucking do that at this time. Good fucking Lord. Here you go. Reality is now standing in front of you. It's pulled out its 10-inch dick and it's slapping you in the fucking face. Side to side to side to side and trying to ram it in your fucking mouth. Jesus fucking Christ. Do you people not understand that convicted felons can cause an entire unit to be taken down? Fuck, I've had that in my own state that I live in. There are units, or I should say were units in my state that when they did the background check, they came across a person was a felon. And they said, well, it wasn't a really bad felon. You know, they didn't murder someone. They weren't smuggling drugs. They weren't selling illegal weapons. Well, we'll let them in. Well, guess what? That felon was working for the state fucking police. He got let out of prison early by agreeing to do this, to infiltrate militia units. So this felon went to militia meetings. And at militia meetings, well, there's always firearms involved. Even if it's training proper handling and maintenance of a weapon. And at these meetings, the members of the unit allowed the felon to handle the firearm. Law enforcement got it on video. Why? Because the felon was wearing a fucking body camera. So they did that for a few months. And then busted the entire motherfucking unit, every single fucking member, and charged them with providing firearms to a felon. Every member of that unit, even if they didn't supply the weapon, went to fucking prison. They lost their firearms rights. Their family lost their firearms rights. They became convicted felons because the fucking state police put this piece of shit in that unit. And the fucking intel people, the leadership of that unit, overlooked he was a felon because it wasn't a violent felony. And now all of them are still in fucking state prison and have lost their firearms rights for the rest of their lives. Jesus fucking Christ, people. There is a fucking reason why I say background checks should be done. There is a reason why I say felons should not be involved. Now, I know this is going to upset Mark Kernke because he is a convicted felon. Mark Kernke is one of the few exceptions to the rule because he dedicated his life to the militia. He went to prison for the militia. He is one of the few people that should get a waiver over the no felons rule. Now, what about gay guys in the militia? Don't have a problem. As long as they are a constitutionalist, I don't have a fucking issue. Now, if they're gay and a leftist, yes, I do have an issue. If they're gay and a neo-Nazi, which, you know, the two seem to go together, especially nowadays, Neo-Nazis have a lot of gay tendencies. They love fucking each other in the ass because they really obsess over the black uniforms. Because, oh my God, there's so much leather. It gets me so horny. Oh, see how hard my nipples are. Oh my God, please ram me in the ass. Oh, please call me Adolf while you do it. Fuck's sakes. Neo-Nazis are a bunch of faggots. Seriously, I'm not joking on this. They're a bunch of faggots. The reason they're neo-Nazis is because they love leather and they love the Nazi uniforms. They are fucking gay! Are there members of the militia who are gay or bisexual, who are constitutionalists? Yes! Yes, there are! Do I have a problem with them? No! Jesus fucking Christ, I've met some of them. I don't give a fuck that they're a bottom and they love getting rammed in the ass. That person has shown me that if the time happens, the war happens, I can count on that person to back me up. They will willingly give their life to protect me, and I will give my life to protect them. It doesn't matter they're gay. It really doesn't. What matters is the ideology. What does that person believe? They believe in the Constitution. They believe in a Republican form of government, not Republican Party. They believe in the form of government that the founders created. I have no problems with them in the militia. Jesus Christ, I have served in the militia with people that are Jewish. And I would trust them with my life also. I've judged them on their acts. I've judged them on what they say. And I truly believe I can trust them. Jesus Christ, I've known some of these people that were confronted by the government to try to get people convicted. And they've said no. They won't give any information. They won't help out in the investigation against militia members. And these militia members were people that are up on charges on January 6th. That's why they were contacted. And they will not roll on their brothers. It doesn't matter to them that the person going to court is Christian and they're Jewish. Because they believe in the United States. They believe in the Constitution. They believe in what the founding fathers did. They realize it is more important for their children to grow up in a free country than in a theocracy like Israel. Holy fucking shit. This is an example, once again, to all of you, why I say what I do. Jesus fucking Christ. Why do you people not listen? And I posted in Telegram, okay, in my response to this article. I find it really interesting that my channel has only been mentioned in 2 news articles and government reports. I've mentioned in 1 news article and 1 report. And the 1 article, this channel, the Security Guy 42 channel, is mentioned because of disinformation concerning Ukraine, where I say that Ukrainian forces are heavily leaning towards Nazism. Oh, I don't know. What's my proof on that? I had the fucking Nazi tattoos on their bodies. The fucking swastikas on the side of vehicles. The SS ruins that they paint on the side of vehicles and put on their unit patches. Holy shit. Yeah, apparently I am lying, even though there's tons of pictures on that shit. And the one governmental report that I am mentioned in, it mentions that neo-Nazis visit my channel and promote my channel in their organizations because of what I teach. And by extension, that means I'm a neo-Nazi. Ignore all the shit where I point out that neo-Nazis are pieces of crap and deserve to be at the end of a fucking rope, swinging in the fucking breeze as wind chimes. Holy fucking hell. Those are the only two reports I've personally come across. Well, there's another one, a Sun News article where I am kind of mentioned that I teach the militia extreme or unlawful information about tactics and ordnance. Even though, as I've pointed out in the past, the stuff that I do in videos, you can find in basic fucking internet searches. Holy shit. But the Sun has me in there as pointing that out, which is illegal information. Whatever. Not in the United States, asshole. Maybe in fucking Britain, but not in the United States. Holy fuck, I only had 2 beers, and quite frankly, I wish I was starting a third right now. I want to point out, if you're in the militia, please promote this channel to people in your unit. Use my information for training. That's why I do it. Fucking show my videos for unit level training. There's a few people that do that. All of you should be doing that. I'm not just putting this information out there to show what I know. I'm putting this information out there for people that may have to defend themselves and their loved ones from a police state or an invading government, an invading force. Promote the information to others so that they can learn that maybe they can avoid the gas chambers. Maybe they can avoid being lined up on the side of a ditch because the leftists love doing that. I know fucking you little neo-Nazi Gen Z pieces of shit hate admitting this. But Nazism was National Socialism, a fucking leftist ideology. Leftists love exterminating people that don't believe the same as them. They may call it a re-education camp, but it is a concentration camp. It is a death camp. They love taking people naked in train cars and cattle trucks to the forest, to the side of a ditch, and then machine gunning people into the fucking ditch, covering the bodies in lime, and then burying them to cover up their crimes. And then they say that their enemies are the ones that did it. Look into the Katyn Forest Massacre. There is an actual movie on it that was made in Poland. Please look it up. Watch it. That is what you can expect from leftists, from communists. That is what you can expect from National Socialists. The Nazis did the same fucking thing during World War II. They didn't just put everyone in gas chambers. They also shot a shit ton of people. And if the person didn't die, didn't matter. They killed more people to pile the bodies up. As more people were in there groaning in pain, it didn't matter. As the bulldozer pushed the earth over the top of them and buried them alive. Socialism in any form is a worshipers of death. They worship mass death. Holy fuck. They just start with one group. And then after they take care of the one group, they go after another group. And then another group. And then sooner or later, you find you're the only one left. No one is there to help you because you didn't help all those others. So when you are the one escorted down into the basement, you are pushed into a room that you think, oh, I'm going to have a tribunal in front of these 3 political officers. I'm going to point out on how I'm not a threat. As soon as you walk through the door, the pistol comes to the back of your head, fucking fires, and your brains are all over the ceiling. They then take your body, put it on a chute, send it up outside, toss it in the back of the truck. The dump truck dumps you in a fucking ditch. And while that's happening, your family is being rounded up, including your infant child, to the side of the ditch, stripped naked of all clothing because your clothing could go to the proper group, and you're machine gunned. Fucking hell, people. We really are at war with globalists. Are we at the shooting stage? No. Truthfully, do I wish we were at the shooting stage? Yes! I would much rather see globalists swinging at the end of a fucking rope than another patriot end up in jail. But you know what? They're concentrating on us right now. And after they get rid of us, then they'll go after the fence sitters, one group at a time, until only the globalists are left. Fucking hell, people. Militias are defensive. You need to train, though, for combat operations. It is not illegal to have knowledge on how to build IEDs. They cannot send you to prison for knowledge. You can know that stuff. What will send you to prison is if you actually start constructing it, or you start gathering up the materials, at least the material parts that are against their laws. I'm not going to go further into that. There's a lot of multi-purpose items that are out there. Should you have some on hand? That's up to you. But do not cross that line into illegal activity. Don't do it. Because as soon as you do, you remove yourself from the order of battle when they decide to start stuff. When they decide to attack us. When they, the globalists, the deep state, the leftists that they're using as pawns, are sent out after us to start coming after us. People ask, why do I wear gloves? Oh, I don't know. Maybe I served in U.S. military and I have somewhat of an idea on just how good their technology is. And, what's that, little thing on your fingers? Oh, yeah, fingerprints and, technology, it may take them a month or two, but they can enhance this. find out who you are based off a single fingerprint. Maybe now you understand why I wear gloves, why I don't show my face. Maybe because my full intent is to be there when shit kicks off. And I will be stacking bodies fucking wholesale. Will I be keeping count? No. Trust me, don't do it. It's going to fuck you up psychologically for the rest of your life. But I will go to bed each night with a mind that is not troubled. Because I will know I am ending a threat to the Constitution that I took an oath to defend with my life. I took an oath to defend the people of this country, its citizens, regardless of race, regardless of religion. And I will honor that oath until my last breath. Go ahead, asshole leftist. Try to dox me again. Go ahead. I fucking dare you. You've tried in the past, and all you've done is dox people that are not me. Go ahead. Fucking try. I dare you. Do it. All you're going to find is names that aren't me. Again, there are people out there who claim to be me for some reason online. Why? I don't fucking know. Those are the idiots you keep doxing all the time. You're never going to get to me. The only time you're going to get to me is when the ATF shows up at my door wanting to be badasses. They finally tracked down the elusive security guy 42. They're going to hold me up for terrorist charges that they make up for some bullshit fucking shit. Who knows? Maybe they'll say I'm fucking selling kiddie porn or some crap. I don't fucking know. They do that crap all the time. No one ever doubts it when they say it. By now, you should all know my preference is hot Asian MILFs, which I enjoy that proclivity on a regular basis. I love slipping my meterwurst into a hot Asian, getting her all nice and wet, and then filling her with that hot beef injection. Giving her that nice creamy sauce way up in there. I don't really like little kids. I don't see a reason for that. I'm not into kiddie porn. I'm not into drugs. I don't sell illegal weapons. I don't make IEDs. Could I? Maybe. But am I doing it right now? No. Could I do it quickly? Maybe. So go ahead. Try it. Go ahead. I don't care. Tomorrow's January 6th, and we know that they're going to try to overturn the certification of the election. Go ahead. Go ahead. Try it. Send a raid against me. Like they say in Rambo First Blood. Don't forget one thing. A good supply of body bags. Because you're going to use every last one of them. I will not give up. I will not surrender. Because my oath to the Constitution won't let me. And I am bound on that oath by that oath till I take my last breath. Now, for all my engineer brothers in the Patriot and Militia movements, always remember, Essayons, let us try, and long live liberty.